this, and we'll go here, and I can see everybody on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Facebook, which Facebook can already see me stumbling around and so forth. Perhaps I better get that open. So tonight I have two things I want to announce before we kind of get started. Well, actually, there's a couple things I want to announce. First of all, I want to announce that this is going to be the contest that it's not really a contest. It's more like a if you posted your video to the PPU Facebook page within the past. I want to say I went back all the way to Thanksgiving to give other people who may not have known or didn't have the chance, but they took the time. So from Thanksgiving, I went all the way back to Thanksgiving and ended up doing a total compiled list. There's around 50 names on the list of people who have posted videos and so forth in the PPU Facebook group, and for that we're grateful. Hopefully we'll come out with a new video. We have some new content that I'm really focusing on to try to get out to everybody this year. Some updates to some really old videos and some new takes on some old topics that we've covered in the past, because things have changed in X-Lights. And so those are a couple of things that I want to touch on coming up here in the future. So if you're watching right now, Facebook, YouTube, here in the chat room, we are in Zoom. We're in the PPU Facebook or PPD Zoom room for its open mic night. And if you have any topics, things that are on your mind or things that really have been frustrating to understand or challenging, or we've explained it once, but it's just still not, the bell's not going off, and you'd like to see specific directed content. And I want to say these are more like a tips and tricks, something right down to the nitty gritty, and as opposed to the long form that we do on Tuesday nights, which is usually a webinar of sorts, and I kind of go in and do a deep dive. Please, by all means, throw those in chat, throw those down below in the comment section, and also if you're on Facebook, throw it in the comments of the video so that I can pick them up and have a look at them. Every year, I really try to look at the groups. For example, last week we did a rather short, but I think it was probably a little better way to look at kind of putting text across things and making sure that you build your submodels the correct way. So that's one thing that I want to bring up. I want everybody to kind of put their thinking caps on. If you've been in the game for a while, maybe it's not as big a deal. But if you're new to the game, I want you to know that, like, we've been creating contents. I've been doing videos since 2013 on this topic, and I am absolutely excited to do content. The challenge is I don't know what everybody wants to hear versus what I just want to talk about. And I hate just making a video just to make a video so that you can hear my wonderful voice, because everybody just loves my voice because it puts you all to sleep. So with that being said, the second thing I want to bring up, tonight is an unofficial webinar. We're not going to do like a webinar thing, but I am going to stay live on YouTube, and I want to do some submodeling for this behemoth of a snowflake. Maybe I'll share my screen and show you all. Let me go to Facebook first. I think that's it, and let me go to YouTube. Right. Oh, no, wrong one. There we go. YouTube. Now you can see it. So this is a behemoth of a snowflake from GE. It's the Yai Yai flake. I don't know. Or Yi, whatever it is. And this snowflake was requested as something to be added to the PPD on the Pixel Pro Displays website. We do a certified model. If you click here under Learning, go to Certified Models. We have 3 different sets of models that we do certified models for. And what certified models basically are us creating Pixel Pro Display sequencing groups and applying them to submodels. But we do them for the Boscoya Studios props, the Gilbert Engineering props, and the EFL props. And we do have a couple of DMX moving heads that we've worked with. The Beam IP, the Domineer Beam IPs. So this is what I want to do tonight, because this is something that somebody asked for a few weeks ago. After seeing a couple people who are in either they're in the club or they bought a sequence and they've used these in their show and they've mapped to them. I looked at the sub models and I was really excited because this is such a huge model. There's a lot to tear apart here, and I've already done probably 2 or 3 or 4 hours worth of work on adding some stuff. So this is what we're going to do tonight. But also, it's going to be kind of an open mic night, and I don't want to. I'll probably do some of this live, and then we'll probably close it off and put it over into the we'll put it over in the Zoom room, and you guys can join us over there. But as far as doing the contest drawing, that's going to be tonight. And then the other thing I want to announce is, and I don't want to go too much longer, but we are going to have, starting tomorrow, I've got to get it set up, but we have the Guess the PPD Sequence of the Month contest coming back for the end of December going into January. There will be 2 prizes at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month. We'll draw it in January, but we'll do a couple prizes for the winner of the Guess the Sequence contest. You never know. If you stick around tonight, you might hear, maybe a comment or two that I might throw out an extra hint. So if you're here in the room, then you might hear that. But then there's that as well. So we're going to get back into doing the Guess the PPD Sequence. So a lot of things coming up this year. We're super excited. We're thrilled to have everybody here tonight. And finally, a huge thank you for all of the support this year. 2022 has been beyond my wildest imaginations. I mean, we Robert and I have been doing Pixel Pro displays for a few years now, and this time of the year, we've truly been blown away. But we've been blown away by not just how much work we've gotten, but by how much appreciation we've received. So a huge thank you to the community. A huge thank you to everybody here. We do this because we love it, and we do this because we know what it's like to be in your shoes and for things to not work the way that we want them to. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's get 2 winners in here to get a PPD sequence or a PPD to win 2 Experience Lights controllers, not sequences. We may do that some other night. So let's get all switched over here. Let me go to this one. Nope, this one there. There, YouTube is set up. Let me go and share screen. Now, again, there are 2 winners here. You only get to win 1 time. And now you should be able to see it. Let me get this out of the way. And, yeah, well, it sure is. I could have gone out of the way and got some Experience Lights controllers. Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. So if you're on YouTube, by the way, give us a thumbs up. I mean, this is a big deal for us to go to start doing this every 2 weeks on YouTube. But it's also a big deal because I mean we put a lot into these. So by all means, we're gonna go ahead and get started. We have 2 winners. Where's Brian McVeigh? Brian, I failed. I don't have my notebook. I'm gonna have to grab my scratch paper here. So let me go ahead and get ready. We're going to come right over here, and we're going to spin for the first winner. And our first winner is Kevin McHenry. Congratulations, Kevin. Kevin has going to be super excited, aren't you, Kevin? Are you here with us? Oh, congratulations, buddy. Just what you need. So, Kevin, you're going to be moving pretty soon, aren't you? Or you're working on it in another year. So, you're going to need all the controller you can get your hands on. So, congratulations, Kevin. Huge huge congratulations. Second winner. And again, this is out of like 40 plus people. There's a ton of people that. And look, the fireworks are going off for Kevin there in the screen. You can't see it. Next winner is going to be Bob McDowell. Congratulations, Mr. Bob McDowell. Bob had, I don't know if he's in the Zoom room tonight, but if he were here, Bob has been a PPD Sequence Club member, and he did a huge float, along with his entire house, of course, but he posted his float in the PPU Facebook group, and I want to say that it was Run Run Rudolph was the song that he did. So we got the McHenrys and the McDowells that won tonight. So we got lots of Macs out there. Congratulations to both of you. Huge thank you for all of you who submitted everything. What my intentions are to utilize some of the programming that you guys have done on your houses, and possibly make a new video intro and outro to the PPD YouTube videos that we do whenever I mix them down and put them up on the website and such. So with that being said, if you have questions, let's see, on YouTube. I see Nick's with us on the Facebook. If you're still on YouTube, by all means, put something in chat so I know you're there. You guys are always welcome to jump in. I put the link to the webinar in the video description. I'm not sure if Rob did that for YouTube or for Facebook, but you're welcome to join us here in the chat room or in the Zoom room. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through and we're going to work on this behemoth, this monster of a controller, or this monster of a snowflake, because this thing is just absolutely massive. So here's kind of what I've already got. And what I learned was whenever I started, when I started working on it, was one individual row was not enough. I had to double up and do 2 rows. So that changed a couple of the other submodels that I did. So I'm probably going to have, there's going to be a lot to go through here. So just doing the basics, the things that we typically would put on here. It's really hard to count these as snowflake rings, so I did the whole arm here. The smaller arm is a snowflake ring. There's lots of snowflake tips up here, but I'm going to have to change these. These little torches are going to have to come out, although they all are correct, like the person who did the submodels for these, because I didn't do all the submodels. But there's a significant number of submodel work that was previously completed. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to go through and find new submodels that hadn't been created and point them a little bit more towards what we do for PPD, but not just what we do, but maybe you're just a little more practical for other people, or maybe they might find more appreciative or enjoyable in their mapping whenever they're doing from other sequences and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and get started. In order to begin submodeling, what you want to do is you want to select the model first, and then you come down here to the submodel dialog, and you're going to click the 3 dots, and you'll have this absolute giant page here that's going to fill the whole thing up. I noticed this recently. I don't know if I recognized it earlier, but the refresh page here, whenever you change the size of this screen, is kind of off. The buttons kind of disappear. So maybe if I noticed that a couple days ago. Maybe if the developers catch that, maybe they could take a look at that. Maybe there's a refresh or something that's causing it not to scale correctly. But in any event, I'm going back and I'm going to show the ones that I've done, I think. Let's see. This is the arms 1. There's arm 1 through 6. I'm going to go back in, and this is ridiculously tedious. So everybody remember, when you're submodeling, this is a long process, especially whenever you have a prop that's, over 1,000 pixels. This is just a lot of work. So when folks ask about adding submodels to different props and doing extra work for them, this is really something that's time consuming. So I figure it's something you guys might enjoy, might like. You're welcome to stick around. You can. I got to bring up the chat room because somebody popped the message up there. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce John. I don't know how to pronounce Yai. That doesn't. I see I. Is it Yai like Yie? I Yai Yai. Is that how it's pronounced? Okay, it's I Yai Yai. Oh my gosh. It's a good. That's. I would have never guessed that AYI was pronounced Yai. Okay, call me call me crazy, but so what I'm going to do here, since I've already created one row, I'm going to add another row here and do a second row for this one. And I'm just going to get going here. And if I want to check and see my work compared to the other arm, I can always click on it. Oh, I didn't go to the inner one, so let's go back to the other one, and we'll delete those. You hold Shift and you click and drag, and that will, whoops, have to click on the correct line. Shift and Control will delete those, and I'm sorry, Shift and click and drag will delete them. And I don't understand why these little dots haven't popped up into a larger size yet. On the other monitor, they were. Oop, I gotta look. Gotta go back and look. How did I do the other one? See, this is what happens whenever you start doing one thing and you get off track and you go back and do it again. You gotta remember how you did something. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Screwed up. See, this is what's nice. You can always just delete what you did accidentally. Went up, we went over, and we grabbed that one. Yeah, if you guys have questions, by all means, just unmute your microphones. Rob's also here. I'm just sharing my screen, so you can ask your questions away if you want. Rudy, I'm not sure how big this thing is. I'm only looking at the model. It's like 15 feet or something like that. It's crazy big. Crazy big. It's a ton of pixels. Oh, it's 17 feet, John, huh? John, you have this. What did you map to this, John? YouTube, any questions out there? Let's see. Nothing yet. I don't see Facebook, so Facebook, if you have any questions, I'm going to pop you up on another screen. Let's see. Facebook. Well, that was the thing that I noticed about it was there John posted a question. He says, uh, I would map the matrix in the centers and try to use the same groups for the snowflakes and elements. That was the one thing I noticed is like the arms weren't outlined at all for the snowflakes. So I was kind of surprised about that, but I'm not. I mean, the work on this is like very very intricate. Like this is definitely a hard model to. This is not a quick model. Oh, these two don't get done. Those two do. And I'm already forgetting what I did over there. Up, 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 over. I think that's probably the hardest thing with doing the submodels is the fact that as you do things, things start to change on you. Like not change on you, but you forget what you did. Josh, what are you doing? Josh, drawing. See, Josh snuck in here tonight.
Sorry, I did not mean to do that. My
Uh,
phone is pushing buttons.
uh-huh, sure, sure. That's what they all say. Maybe Rob could clear that off. Well, it's not covering up my pixels, so. Until somebody else decides to draw. That's not an invitation. But so,
Damn it.
yeah, the old days in Zoom when we used to put black squares across the screen, people would be. We were so terrible. We were just horrible people, you know.
We were bad.
We were very, very bad. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, we were terrible. Okay, that doesn't go there. That one does.
So, Clyde, question.
Sure.
When you're doing submodels, do you try to create unique submodels or submodels that you know you're going to be able to map to?
So whenever so let's I'm looking at this snowflake right now. Okay? And it's gorgeous. I mean, there's a lot of pixels to it. There's a lot to it. There but in my head and this is an artist thing, right? So everybody sees what they see into it. The hard part is that there's with something like this, it's like the mesmerizer. The mesmerizer is absolutely 100%. You can do anything you want to it. You can make it do some really crazy things. But there's a point at which being able to do everything is awesome. Everybody has to be able to do that too. And having limitless options is great until you have limitless options and then you never get anything done because you tend to still go back to what your favorites are.
It's great until it isn't.
Exactly. Exactly. It becomes information overload and you can do one or two great things and then but if you keep doing the same great thing over and over and over again, it's not great anymore. So having the standard having this look like a snowflake is a big deal to me. That's the way I see this, right? Um, so it's not so much about like it's not like they didn't not do it. It's that this is such a big model that this really does take a lot of time. Like I said, 3 or 4 hours on this already, and just doing basic things. It's not something that you just whiz bang and hurry up and do. So I mean, we're probably 10 minutes, and I've got 10 minutes in, and I've got two arms done, or just one row of two arms. You know.
So fundamentally, you're trying to create a snowflake, or you're trying to create a spinner with 6 column matrices. You know,
Well, and then that's the other thing. So, well, that's the other thing, right? So, how do you? What's the next step? So, whenever you do this, because you're going to start having what's called what Xlights gives you errors about all the time, which is your submodels have copy or duplicate nodes from this submodel to this submodel. The effects may not render the right way, or may not render as you expect them to. You know, and so when that happens, people say, well, every time I do a check sequence, there's an error. But that's the price that you pay for trying to do the over and above the top stuff. The second thing is that if I sequence the snowflakes and the spinners, and in this model, for the most part, a lot of the sequencing effects will work together where they won't. I don't think that they'll overtake one or the other. So they'll work really well together. In my head, I think they'll work good together. But that's the problem. In my head, I think they'll work good together in my layout. But whenever it gets to your layout or somebody else's layout, it may not, because of the way they sequence or because of the way they map something from one thing to another. So it's all about the beginning sequence, the balance that the person who's sequencing the song to begin with. And that's where it comes from. So in my head, whenever I know I sequence a song, and that's why I attached our groups to it, because I know that if I set it up this way and you map into your layout from ours, it's going to have a relatively reasonably familiar effect to what you saw in the pro layout. So that to me is the goal. Now that doesn't mean that you can't take what we've done and apply it in a different way. And so with that, it's you have to take the reins at that point and say, okay, well, I applied effects from the house verticals to this because I like them on the center columns, or I put the column matrix effects on the columns, and in my head, the way I see those columns, I see those as being smaller versions of the radiation symbol, or the radiation, or something like this, where you've got the spinner alert groups. So that's where I saw this at first, and now that I've done the first row of these arms, and I realized, oh, you really can't see the second row. You have to have two rows. So now we're going back and we're doing two rows. That's why we're doing two rows. Now I'm going to have to go back and change all the ones that I've already done where this is going to line up and overtake it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to kind of come up with different things.
When are they going to make copy and paste?
What do you mean copy and paste?
Well, since those are all the same, why can't I copy the one you already did?
I don't know. That's a question for a developer. You're whistling Dixie to me.
Where's Scott at?
What's that?
So where's Scott at?
Right.
He might be here. It'd be nice if he was. If not, that's okay. Jeff, I hear you in the background over there, buddy. I know you're like, thank God you're doing it. Better you than I.
I spent a lot of time messing around with this one, and this is a tricky one.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some funky shapes to it. So.
Well, and that's the thing. The thing is it's not exactly apparent what you can do. And the thing is that this is one of those situations where you literally have to go in and test it, and you have to try it out first. And if it's wrong, you have to go back and do it again. And the hard part in this hobby is once it's done, you want to be done with it, and you don't want to spend too much time doing one thing, if that makes sense. Because then, I mean, you've got 1,000 other things to do. The last thing you want to do is sit there and make these submodels. You know what I mean? And while it's frustrating, that's why we spend the time and do it. But at the same time, whoops, boy, did I miss that. At the same time, though, it's because I sequence that I sit here and say, this is what I'd like it to do, if that makes sense. It's not because I think somebody did a terrible job. And these absolutely the truest words. I mean, I am grateful that somebody took the time to do the submodels that they did. The work that goes into this is something to be commended, because it's very time consuming. And the way that they did it, the other submodels that are over here are set up rather decently. Like I applied some effects to them. I mapped a couple random sequences over, and they all work. But did they work with the way that I envision them working? And so, in order for me to create that, I have to physically create that. So, but this is one of the things that we get. Oh, I'm sitting here on YouTube and nobody's watching because you know why? Because I'm not showing the screen. There we go. There we go. YouTube, now you get to see what we're doing.
Are you staying live on Facebook too?
We can if you want to.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Anybody have any questions that they want to bring up?
Clyde, I remember Keith had said at one point many years, well, not many years ago, but a few years ago, that when you're submodeling, it's important to have your nodes in numerical order. Is that still the case or not the case?
So the answer to that question, it depends. So in this instance, the way that I believe Scott built the system that we're using right now, where you click and drag and you create a submodel, Scott created this, and I don't know whether he did this on purpose, but it's the case that whenever I click and drag, whatever pixel I put whatever I click and drag first, second, third, fourth, it carries it over here in the exact order that I click and drag it in. Now, if I go in, for example, the old way was to double click, and it brought up this giant screen here. Now this is, I think this is like ridiculously large size. I hope I didn't break it. It's a massive. You used to have to click on every single one of them, and you had to click them in the order that you were selecting it for the path to go. So in some of the other submodel videos, because it's a double-edged sword, if the model is built where it goes left to right, like a matrix is, where you zigzag, sometimes they will numerically be in order. But if you're trying to do things like we did last week, which was put text onto a submodel that's on an icicle group, if you have icicles and you want to put text onto them, and you're using an icicle model that is not standard, which is meaning all drips and no gutter line. So if you have like an icicle that has, let's say, one pixel, then a drop, then one pixel, then a drop, then one pixel and a drop, that top row is like your gutter, quote unquote, gutter line. And you can create a submodel so that you can map effects from your gutters onto that gutter line. But then if you want to only activate just the icicles, the drops themselves, you want to ignore the top line and make a submodel that goes left to right across those icicles. And then if you create it the correct way, which is almost never numerical order, or possibly could be numerical order, but some lines might be reversed depending on how the model's built, it could be numerical order. It all depends on how the pixels are pushed, if that makes sense. But so it's not a blanket statement. You can't say don't put them in order. So
the answer to it is it has to go in node order, unless it's a very simple prop that can just go in numeric order. Numeric order might work sometimes, but 9 chances out of 10 when you get a prop like this or any high density prop, or even as simple as a spinner, you have to leapfrog in and out, so it'll never work correctly in numeric order. It has to go in the order of how you perceive it. So like, for example, if you're doing a spinner, you want to go down one of the pie slices and then around and then back. Or if you're just doing the arms, you just want to come out and stop. But unfortunately, numeric order would tell you with a spinner that it's going to leapfrog down and then leapfrog back, filling in the pixel holes, so it would never work in numeric. So numeric order doesn't. Yes, it would be easy to build something in numeric order and that would work. But now since Scott has made it so it just knows the node order, that's what you want it to be.
Hey Clyde, on arm 4, you missed the left side or the right side. Oh no, it's there. That's weird.
Yeah. So the hard part is keeping track of where you're at. Like I always know how I start. After you do this for a while, you get really consistent with how you build your submodels. Like you try to do them all the same, and while at the same time, at the same time, you may make mistakes. Like I know I'm going to make mistakes in this one. It's going to take a lot just to go back through this to vet it, to make sure that it is as possibly accurate as it can be. Because there's and what's more challenging is I physically don't have one of these. It's not like I can plug it in, turn around, and go test it. Like I can't do that. But what I can do is I can rely on the fact that whoever built the model build it in a way that the home user can wire it that way. And as long as they follow this wiring diagram, they'll be all right. There's at least two people that I've seen. Well, there's two videos. I've seen a couple videos in the other groups, but two people in PPU who definitely use these in their on their house layout. So, but there's a lot to this model.
You grabbed the pixel on the third row.
Oh, I did. Look at that. See, the nice thing about over grabbing a pixel is it's easy to go and remove it because it doesn't matter what order you put them in. Oop.
And so what would happen if you were to build this submodel and you just dragged a big square over the two rows instead of doing it each single row?
So if I just blanket grabbed everything here,
Not everything, but like the two outer rows that you're working on right now. Why don't you just grab a big square over those two rows rather than doing each node?
so because
let's say that you grab 4 nodes at one time. How does Xlights know which node to put in order of the way that you pushed it, other than the lowest number? So if the lowest number would be correct the node 4, then it would grab it correctly. But mostly it's easier just to do one at a time, so it's placing it in node order.
Okay, so it does matter.
so correct. So selection order is what matters whenever it comes to building the submodel.
So the easiest way to explain this, Justin, is how you saw him selecting one at a time. Now, if he would run the single strand effect over it, so like when you run the single strand effect across the arch, it starts from node 1 and goes to node 50, right? So it just jumps easily across. If he goes in now and applies the single strand effect to this, it will chase the outside correctly in that order that he selected it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right.
I hadn't considered that.
So
So that's the biggest thing that you'll see on a model that's not selected right. Is, for example, like I was saying, the leapfrog earlier. So if you would use a single strand effect on a spinner arm that had leapfrogging, it would skip every pixel going out and then skip every pixel coming back in, because that's how it assumes it's a straight line. Unless you go in and select them in order like this, then it'll start at the middle and go straight out to the end.
I think now that you say that, that reminds me that my 6-ring star on my topper a few years ago, if you did a single line effect on it, it would not go around the rings properly. And that's probably why the submodeling was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what used to happen was exactly what you said. So, for example, somebody would click and drag all of these because it was easy to click and drag all of them. Well, Xlights will put these in numerical order if you do that. That's it. That's the way Xlights is going to do it. Because it has to pick one way, and that's the one way it picks. It doesn't say, oh, I know this is at the top, I know this is at the bottom. Like, the end user has to tell Xlights the way to think. And the only way to do this is manually, one by one. And as you can tell, this is incredibly tedious. So, but at the same time, when you're done with it and you get to see the results of it. Now, Jeff has been around for a handful of years, also like yourself, Justin. Jeff did a number of huge projects, and for example, like the dabbing elves and all the dancing 2-position elf characters we did 2 years ago for one of the projects. He physically got to go and see them, didn't you, Jeff? If you're still in here.
Yeah, and we actually have them ourselves this year also.
And so there was so much intricate work that went into creating them, and luckily we were doing more with the states versus the submodels, but it did come down to the same kind of process, we'll say, right? And where it was very precise, where you had to go in and you had to be very pointed and specific with what you were doing in order to get the result. And the end result was amazing. Like they looked so cool when you were all done with them. So
they're on the Boscoyo site now, and there were a couple things that were changed with them, but we have them, and everybody loves them. So, but yeah, it took, I don't know, one of those hours to figure out, arm position 1 and arm position 2 to kind of make it go back and forth.
So rule number 1, whenever you are done with doing submodeling, you always click OK. You never hit cancel. You never close the little X at the top. Okay, never do that.
No escape either.
Don't hit escape. Those are evil. Okay, make sure you hit the save button. I'm going to go over and do a new sequence, and I'm going to go test this and see what I think how it looks. So. And I have to scroll down all the way to the bottom here just to get to it. Well, no, I don't, because those are already in the group. Never mind. Snowflake arms. Put the arch effect on. Oh, I can't. I have to come up here and grab it. Per model default. Per model default. And I probably should turn this on. Let's do a color wash on there. That way it's lit up and it's not doing anything goofy. And then let's put only the red on here. Make that nice and big. So it all looks like it's working pretty decent. But you're looking to make sure everything's going around together at the same time. Per model scaled, can it do scaled? Yep. So it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. I mean, there might be issues with it, like at 1 node or 2 node, but I mean, for the most part, that's good enough. Like most people aren't gonna. If you have, how many pixels is this thing? This is 4,500 pixels. If you find 1 pixel on here that is out of order on the submodel, I promise you can go chase it. So, with that being said, I think that works. I think that's far better than it was. But for the most part, I think that's good. So this is what I come up with the snowflake rings on the whole thing there. So I think that works kind of okay. Again, the downside of that is that they're just extra arms. They're smaller versions of the arms. These are the spinner alerts that I came up with. They really don't. It was meant more for the middle, but I think we're going to end up doing something a little different. I think I'm going to figure something else out for that. The spinner arms, I like those. Those come out pretty good. And I just made them go straight out, but I only went out to the center circle. I actually might change those to the spinner small arms. And I may make these spinner big arms up the center here of the matrix. What do you think, Jeffy?
Yeah. I don't know if they would
not line up.
It won't line up. You're right.
You're gonna have to do.
Looks like I'm going to have to do 3. 3.
Looks like you have to do 3 for it to line up.
Yeah. So does that...
I would probably do all the way up. Do 2 on the bottom, and then once it hits the top, do the 3 up. I think if you do small arms on the bottom, big arms at the top, it's going to...
So do we stack them and make the like we did this one here? Like we stacked the submodels on the outside. We had a inner the first ring was the outer ring, the second ring was the inner ring.
No, I think you just do what you do right there, but then
just continue on.
Yeah, continue on and do the 3 up and make it one big like.
So make it one big one then. Okay. Do we keep the small ones and have a small ones only group and one with the large ones too?
No, probably just the one.
Just make it all one.
I would just do the one.
So you see what goes into making these. Like sometimes it's not as apparent on how to do this, and hearing the feedback. That's the hard part of doing the submodeling. Is
there were many nights that you and I sat up just going through a lot of this stuff.
The mesmerizer is a perfect example. Like we redid the pedals in the. I liked certain pedals and they didn't like certain pedals, but we went over and over it until we found what fit the best. Whenever you map the effects over, and whatever looked the best is what we went with. So it takes time to do that stuff.
One thing I started doing this year a little bit, and it was kind of cool, like when you're doing the spinner arms, and you start like on the bottom left and you go all the way around. What I started doing on some things was alternating, going left and right, all the way up, and it actually turned out really cool.
Oop, got a little excited there.
So, Clyde, you're not going by node number. You're going by a design that you're familiar with, and you're just replicating that over and over.
Correct. So it's a creature of habit. I'm a creature of habit, right? So
and that way, no matter what, it's going to look correct.
Yeah, because whenever I go from this one over to this one over here, I need to do the exact same thing. If I can repeat the same thing, then it makes life easier for me. It's harder. It's less likely for me to make a mistake where I screw something up. So 393. I need to see what the last number 390 339 339. So there, go up. Yeah, so if you have a straight line that goes straight across this, what's going to happen is, if I go ahead and click OK, save, and then we go back in here and you click this. You see what's happening there? It's going to follow the line, and it looks like it's going out one specific set of pixels, but it's actually following the line. It's following the path that I clicked it in. And if I slow this down, you'll see it fill in exactly how I clicked and dragged it across the entire submodel. Does that make sense?
Yep.
You can see it right there as it ends. And if you stretch this out the whole way, you can see it one by one. That's exactly how I clicked them. And it's important to be consistent whenever it comes to this, because the more consistent you are, the better your results are going to be. And I mean, this is just every prop that's out there. And I don't mind. I have no problem doing this for any of the models. Again, you can see how ridiculously tedious this gets. So for the people who have this, I know that the payoff for them is going to be well worth it, because they're going to easily be able to take one of our sequences and map it right in here, and bam, it's going to look like what those props should look like. Or they can change it and map different things to it if they want to. They have that option. But at least those kind of submodels are there and available to them. So that's what the goal is.
Scott adding the dragon circle or dragon highlight is a lifesaver.
Yeah, the old the old double click method was, you guys have to know, there was a point in time where there was no the double click method didn't put it in a specific order. And so this is like 3 years ago. We'll go back when we did the PPD wreath, and it took me 2 days to do the PPD wreath, because I had to sit there with a copy of the node layout facing forward, printed out on a piece of paper, and I printed it like 7 or 8 times, and I took a highlighter and I highlighted the numbers in the path, and I physically had to come over here and type them out in the correct order. So it's not entirely apparent what you need to do until you have these issues like what should I do next, or how do I do this, and that's honestly why it really is hard to do. That's how hard it used to be to do them. Now it's, I mean, yeah, this is easy. What you're watching is easy. Yes, it's tedious, but at least I can do it, and I can consistently get the same results across anything that I pull this off on.
All right. Why are you not dragging a box across the three?
Be-
You know in what direction you want to do it.
because I don't know what these pixel numbers are. And I can't guesstimate if they're in numerical order or if they're in click and drag order where I have to click them individually. So I just click and drag. So I can't.
Overall, even though it's tedious and slow this way, it's actually quicker because then you're not retracing your steps, making sure you did it right.
Correct. Slow is steady. Steady is fast. If I follow the method, if I do the same thing on all of them, the long work will always be right in the end. And I don't have to go back and try to fix it just because, I knew that. Now, let me say this from experience. If you know that you built this model, you physically created this model. Now, I'm not saying you and this model, but let's say you made your own spinner. It was 100 pixels, and you knew how you did it. You could probably stand here and say, yeah, I put 28, 29, 30, 31, but they're flip-flops, so I'll type them out. You could probably do that on your own if you've done your own model. I know I have. So, but with something that I didn't create, I'm not going to take the chance. I'm just going to take the time to follow through and do it this way. Because I know in the end, most likely, if I come back over here, these are all going to work the same way. They're all going to look good. They're all going to end up in the right places. They're all going to end the correct way, or they're going to be. I don't want to say correct. Correct isn't the word I want to use. The goal here is to replicate or do the same thing over and over again, so that I have like results. So you can see them as it's going off there. It's going left, right, and then if you look around, you can see they're all doing the same exact pattern. So that's the goal. The goal isn't to do it fast, but as when I was in the Army, that was what you said. Slow is steady, steady is fast. Because the more you take your time with it and you are consistent with it, at the end, it's going to turn out and you're not going to have to do the job again. And that's the biggest thing, because doing a job twice is just ridiculous. I promise you, you do not want to do this model twice. Like I did the mesmerizer twice, didn't we, Jeff?
Yep.
That mesmerizer.
It turned out really cool.
It's freaking glorious.
I wonder if Scott
Mesmerizer
could.
got redesigned about 4 times before we finalized it.
What's that?
The mesmerizer, just when we designed it, we worked together figuring it out, and it took 4 revisions.
Well, it was. I mean, James, you remember that was the number. It was the pixel count, right? We were going for 100. We wanted an even number. Number one, that was what everybody said. Well, I want an even number of pixels. We'll just do 100 circles, and you can, but
Doesn't work on that
but
prop.
it didn't work on the prop. And every submodel I tried to do was just a disaster because nothing divided equally. So he said 96, and look at me, I'm getting off. And
All about the math.
and math, and I hate to say it, math matters. And everybody says, "Oh, I got to cut those pixels off at the end." You know what? Get over it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing something that's rather intricate and grand. I mean, now I mean I understand you got 50 pixels for a snowflake. Okay, we're to the point now where we could probably make that work out, right? But
And we do.
Yeah.
We have revised versions that have fixed all those counts for the newer people getting into the hobby that don't understand the way it used to be.
and when pixels were far more expensive, and people weren't going out and buying 10,000 pixels, that
Just
didn't.
had raw ends. They didn't even have waterproof connectors on them.
No.
But this, I mean, not knocking the model. This is why I had reached out to James. I was like, I want a giant flake that is a true flake. And
Which is the next model that's going to be done.
Oh,
Because once we get this one done, and because I already told James, I sent him. Did I not send you a message that one of these is going to end, not this, but one of James's is going to end up at my house?
Yeah.
well, you
But
don't
yeah,
have to do the model. I can send it to you.
yeah, the one that, and actually, Nick Johnson went and enhanced it and added more sub models to that one, Jeff.
Really?
Got one on his roof, and he went through and I don't know, he found some more patterns into it, other than the ones that we designed into it on purpose, and he just kept taking it even further down that rabbit hole.
It's it's really cool.
Well,
It
and
is.
and that's the nice thing about doing this project is we can recycle some of those things and add those back in and recertify the model and add to it because that's what happens. And I got off track.
Yeah. Well, Jeff will tell you. I mean, I went through I don't know how many iterations on that flake just
Yeah.
for him to get it to where the point that we
Mhm.
liked the way it looked, and the sub models actually meant something. They actually it's nice the way it flowed, and you created 3 or 4 different size objects inside that snowflake all in one thing. So
And we got like a little tunnel that people drive through. It's got, I don't know, 40,000 pixels. And then at the end of it, it's got a 16-foot snowflake or 14-foot snowflake.
yeah,
It's cool.
yeah, it is. I saw it. I saw the pictures. Yeah.
Yeah. It's heavy and it doesn't mount very good.
Yeah. What we did on with Nick is we didn't put the ring on the front. We just used the clips, the little short pieces that
Yeah.
connect the arms together. And that way, as long as you make each arm is designed, it's got its own wiring pattern. I think it's 650 nodes per arm, and you don't have to remove any pixels to disassemble it for storage. Still,
Yeah.
an arm you got to put somewhere, but it's not 16 foot.
Yeah, when you sent me the model and I was like, that's one arm. I was like, crap. And then I started putting it together. I was like, all right, it works. So
Yeah, it does. It works really well. So
the bottom, you have to flip one horizontal and vertically to get the top one to match the bottom one. It's like I rotated them. I think it was 30 degrees. Yeah, 30 degrees or 60 degrees, 30 degrees. To get them to shift, and then the bottom one going down, I had to flip it horizontally also because the pixel didn't match it. I don't know. I have to go back through it, but it's turned out. It's a showstopper piece. No offense, no. Didn't mean it like that.
it's trademarked. You can't use that word.
Yeah.
Where are they at?
Are you talking about the showstopper flake? Because I have it in the show.
I just happen to say showstopper, and that's
Yeah. No, I got you. I need to go fix the snowflake tips because those, and I don't know which ones they are. Darn it. Torch. I need to find torch. So the inner one's the smaller numbers are the inners, and the larger numbers are the outers. So snowflake tips, I want to get rid of the number 4s out of here because I just overwrote that. So now if I put the on effect onto the snowflake tips, so that's just the inner 3 rows. Is that how many there is? Yeah, inner 3 rows, snowflake tips. Yep, that's good. So then the arms, because if you have the arms and you go on the arms like this, I forget that I don't have shortcuts. Per model default. Make this into green. There we go. And we can turn this into gray, which per model default scaled. Now it should travel more together. There's just not as many pixels in that second run.
yep. That's what I told you the other day. I was like, I was messing with it, but man, it's a tricky one. Like some of these big high density props are almost better in some ways, sequence them like a matrix, and then adding less submodeling into them.
Dude, that is an absolutely sweet group. I wish my Yai did that this season.
What's that?
I'm just loving what you just did, what you've got on your little preview. Hi, Clyde. Dane from Queensland, Australia, with the giant fireplace.
Hi, Dane. Good to hear.
First of all, very jealous of your TSO footage the other night. That was unfair. I stuck in Australia and we don't get bullshit like that. Second of all, this is amazing to watch how you're doing this, because this is really only our second year of Pixels.
Mm-hmm.
And we fast-tracked getting them up, but we didn't know how to do this bit.
Well, so your first year, you are. How many pixels did you start with?
We are second year. First year was 6,500. We had the fireplace and just a mega tree.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're at 17,500 plus the extra matrix pixels, which nobody counts apparently.
Are you talking about the P10?
The P5s.
Yeah, nobody counts it. I don't count my P10. I mean, it's 4 panels to me, but it's like it's a prop, right? It's like an HD prop. It's like that's another 1,000 pixels or whatever. But
we built a 36 panel one.
But when you render that thing, you feel every bit of that render. So
the new Macs really get the work out.
Yeah. Well, the Macs do it a little. Macs were always better at rendering. So, but in any event,
I invested in the M1 Pro Max just in case.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully that gets me out of trouble. Honestly, not to detract, I'm really enjoying watching your process here, and I'm really excited that someone like you is going to be working on the Yai for 23.
Well, somebody requested it, so
it was actually me that put it in your little.
Was it?
The post the other day. What props do you need? And I went, a giant snowflake.
Oh no! That's well, that was more pointed towards Jeff. Jeff got an email with this. When did you get it, Jeff? It's been about 3 weeks ago, right?
2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was like, I'll try and tackle this one.
And I know that Adam Laprad's got one.
Yep.
And Minor Mendoza of Pixel Stores has one as well.
Right.
We've all been working together to help each other out this year.
Yeah, I like I said, like the person who built this model did the hardest work of all. You have to figure out how to wire this thing.
Yeah.
Like I did the bellflower, and I bet everybody hates me for doing the bellflower, but at the same time, it still came out and it comes out good. If you follow the submodels from the download, they're the same as what's in our certified because it's the same model. But it's the amount of time that you put into doing it, and the desire that it's going to come out just like you see this here. The goal is to make it look like it does on the screen, and if it's wired the correct way, there's no way that you can't have exactly the same look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but again, there's just so much to it. It's like I haven't even started creating the spinner. All these little spinners, they all need to go in there. Like I think I did the spinner rings.
Just be careful. A couple of groupings could look like penises real easy.
Absolutely. You got you look right here because you can. And
I tell you what, the kids pointed out real quick.
Little constructive criticism. I think the little twigs on those arms need to go.
The little twigs on the arms?
Yeah.
Ooh,
what you were just working on.
So you want it ribbed for her pleasure?
No.
I understand where you're going with it, but if you don't want it to look what the appendage that was just mentioned, because we are on YouTube and I don't want to go down that road. If that's there, it's no mistaking it. Okay. There's no mistaking it. Okay.
As a live watcher of a Yai, I second that comment. Clyde.
So I again, I don't disagree with you, but really think about it, right? So, well, again.
We had crazy aspirations of actually putting 6 little baby movers protruding from the little cutouts of each point as well.
Oh my gosh!
So I thought that would look crazy cool if they were just little wash movers pointing back across the Yai.
I mean, and somebody is gonna take the time and put the and put the meteor effect on there with the squiggles. So you tell me what's going to happen.
Now we know the real reason they named it Ai Yai Yai.
Oh.
I did actually wonder where that
man,
came
this is
from.
good. We're getting demonetized after this.
Where is the butt plug?
Oh God, Jay, hey, I have to click certain. Oh, Jeff, I have to click certain buttons to say that this is. Oh God. Oh well, it was nice being on.
Someone else said something before. I was like, yeah.
The color's red.
We're
Matching, it's matching the flushness of my cheeks. That's for sure.
We're gonna need a new submodel group.
I'm not making it, and that won't be
So,
televised.
question for you, Clyde. Is there any way to break a single blade away?
What do you mean
To
by
use
a blade?
Prop. Say I just want the first blade as a prop on X lights. I just want that one blade, as it is in the physical sense of the single blade with 750 pixels on it. Is there any way for me to physically isolate that object and save it as a new thing?
Are you talking about? Let me annotate so that. So are you saying take just this?
No, yes, inclusive of everything that would be attached to that single piece of Coro.
There's no easy way to do it. You just create a submodel for it. That's all.
And is it what you were doing before with the selection of the nodes?
That's exactly what I was doing. Yes.
Okay, I
So-
need to learn this. That's a very cool skill.
Right.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say if you're trying to do a whole, like the way Clyde was doing it one by one. So like what I do and stuff like that when you're just trying to highlight an arm, because most of the time you're not going to be able to drop like a single line effect over it, which is why he does the order selection. You can highlight the whole thing, and what I would do is highlight everything that, like basically drag the top left part of the blue circle or square here. Like I would just drag across this or whatever
Let's
it is.
show them. I'll just show them.
Yeah.
So if what I would do is I would just come down here and I click. My phone's in the way. I'll click the add button. Okay, you create a new model and you just call it whatever, full section or full arm or full whatever you want. Hit the tab button, go to your selection tool, and if you know that you only want what's in between these lines here,
Effectively pixel 0
if
to
you are not trying to run specific effects, now we're doing exactly what Justin was saying was we're just getting the ones and we don't care about the path. We're just caring about the area. Okay. Now you can click and drag across this and just get the rest of them. If that's all you're trying to do, yes. But if you're trying to run a specific pattern across these, then you have to take it one by one like I was doing before.
the 1 to 7.
Yeah. See how I've gone through and I'm just randomly grabbing them all, bulk grabbing.
And it's numbered them accordingly, obviously.
Yeah, you could actually just do 1 to 750 in the bar on the left.
That's
if you're
all-
saying
yeah.
that's
I don't know how this is wired, so it might be wired that you could just put a pixel number in there from to. You could type it in and it does it.
That one, that particular flake is flake 6. The one to its right-hand side would be the one to its left-hand side would be number 1. So if you were to choose 1 to 750, it should light up the flake on the left-hand side of that.
Mm-hmm. So let's say you're like, okay, I'm done, and I hit the escape button. Guess what? It didn't save it. Wah wah wah. So never hit the escape button whenever you're doing the submodels.
I considered trying to use the 6 individual ones for an Easter display because they look like candles.
Mm-hmm. I thought the same thing. I thought they looked like candles too, and it would be rather neat if they were all in a candle group and you use the candle effect on them. I think that would be neat.
Because our thing being the fireplace, we're all about the fire.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right. So where were we? I need some sort of. Well, I really don't need that. Not that I need it, but it's there. Spinners, spinner rings, spinner rings. Let's go back to that. Let's close out of here. let's go back up to here to the spinner rings. So I have all the spinner rings in there. Spinner small arms, spinner big arms, spinner alert, which kind of looks goofy now. But the idea to me here, whenever I did this was the spinner in the middle, and I was just going with the small spinner that could be its own prop.
That would look like petals. That could be really cool if you continued that pattern to the outside points.
Well, absolutely, absolutely. But now there again, we just took up. If you remember, we took up this row here, and then we took up these two in the middle. So how do you get your radiation symbol out of that, and without having tremendous amount of overlap? Now, I will say that for the arms, I don't usually sequence the two of them together, but that's just me. That may not be somebody else that's using the same models or submodels. So if you're...
When you make your submodels, are you ensuring that you don't overlap them over other submodels? With your
Yes and no sometimes. It all depends. It all depends. And so that goes even deeper into into how these models are laid out in your sequence and the display elements, which is a whole nother topic that's to be concerned with. And to be sure, you want this model only in one main group, meaning where it's going to live. Like to me, this is a snowflake, so it lives in the snowflake group. But there's so many submodels that it doesn't need to just always be a snowflake. It can also take on the appearance of, or the effects from, things from the PPD wreath. It could pick up stuff from the door wreath star. It could pick up things from the spinner models because there's little spinners on here. The hard part about putting those spinners into the spinner group is the fact that whenever you do an effect across a regular spinner, it doesn't render the same way across a submodel. And so people always say, well, why doesn't it work the same way in the submodel? And that would be because the way that an effect renders is it renders as if it were a straight single line. So if we look at the render buffer on, let's say, one of those spokes, it's typically a straight line. And let's see if I can bring it up here and show you. Where's it at? Right here. So this is the effects assist. This kind of draws a buffer and shows you the way Xlight sees the model. So pretty much on any one of these, it's going to show, if I come down here to let's go to the spinner spoke outline. It's the same thing. It's going to show it in a straight line, and that's the way Xlight sees it. It sees it as a, so here's the arms on. Sees it as a one solid line. So you put a pinwheel on this, and one pinwheel swoops down here and hits on this side. Well, what pixels is it actually hitting? It's hitting the pixels that numerically were in this order that were run across it, like so. If that makes sense. See how that runs across it just like that? So if you have this zigzag that's going up the middle here, now you have this effect that's not running off of the matrix, it's running off of a single straight line that is pixel number 1 through number n, whatever's to the left and to the right, in those specific pixel orders. So it's really hard you have to change the render style. You have to know to change the render style to per preview for anything that has a submodel if that's the look you're going for. This is really, really confusing. So a lot of this next level stuff, everybody loves this high definition stuff. Everybody loves the super high pixel count prop, but there is no way to overall make this easy to sequence and to know exactly how to sequence it. This kind of a prop right here. This deserves its own set of groups, and you have to learn how to create a map and then change the render of the effects on just these props or just these kind of submodels. It really is very intricate. But it takes time. Like you have something like this, you spend the time on just this prop. It's like me whenever I sequence a megatree. I spend a day and I spend 12, 14, 16 hours sequencing a megatree. Like it's a big deal to me. Like how many people spend an entire workday just sequencing one prop for a whole song? And that's the kind of, thought process that you put into doing something like this. How much time are you going to put into mapping or building into your mapping or building into this? And so most people, and most people, I don't want to say people don't like the sequence. Most people build so much they just enjoy seeing it look good. So the best that I can make it whenever I sequence up here and I build the submodels to fit for them when they do their imports, that's what I can do. But the end user is always going to have more control over it. And the more you put into doing that, that's obviously going to give you far better results, because there's no way that I know what you're mapping into, and there's no way that I know what you're mapping into and how to make it look better for you, because it's just the way it is. It just that's a tall order and a lot of work to put in. But at the same time, if I do this right from the start, if I always do the submodeling the same way, then I don't have to worry about it. Like, I know that it's going to come out looking good whenever they map it in. But if you want to take it to a next level, bam, you can always do that.
I dare say there's going to be a few of these out next year.
What do you mean? More people are going to get them?
I know in Australia there's been a bit of interest in them now.
Oh.
And half a dozen in the States that have already piqued their interest. I'm sure you know more.
Well, like I said, I definitely know of two. I've seen a couple of them around. And to be sure, there's a lot of interesting submodels that are in here. If you want to take the time and you want to do like or you want to pull the, I don't know if the mini spokes. Yeah, we already did the mini spokes. The arms. Let's see. I thought I saw where somebody had built the. I don't know how useful these are to me. These little. I mean, those could be.
Wouldn't show up in real world.
I think that they would look good. They actually would appear and work well with like the snowflake tips. Just thinking about the way that I sequence, because it's not like a huge sequence prop. It's something there just to add like highlights and stuff. I think that would work for something like that.
And also on a technicality, those are the first and last ones to always break because they're at the start and end of each. Like,
oh, really?
So we originally had it on, what was it, 6 ports of power injected, and we ended up adding the Genius 24-port controller and putting everything down to 200 per port because we were just losing lights left, right, and center.
See, that's anything like this. I'm going to put on 200 pixels on an output. I don't want the whole prop to go out, but you'll know when the prop goes out, and you don't lose. You lose a string of 200 versus, 600 or 800 or whatever's on an output. Like I don't know how you had it set up, but that's.
I did the Gigantor. I just did a receiver per arm. That's 650 per receiver.
So I think that works. I put it in the snowflake group. I'll just leave that for now. Spinner big arms are done. Spinner rings are done. Spinner small arms are done. And you can tell that they took the time to build these because they start in the middle and they probably go outward. I didn't test all of that, but I can always do that by simply doing this. Come up here, spinner small arm, and close this out. Spinner small arm. Oh, hey, wait a second. Uh-oh, that's got a ring in it. See, this is why you test your submodels out and your groups. So I have to go back to the spinner small arm group and find the ring that's in it. Small arm group that has a ring.
I just dropped a photo of the back of ours into the chat thread.
Outline. That can go away. There we go. Save. Do it again. Yep. Okay, so that works. So per model default. So from the inside out. See how nice and slow.
I'm surprised that worked without a re-render.
Sometimes you do. It's one model. It's 4,000 pixels. I'm rather fortunate. So. But you're right. Sometimes it doesn't work. You're absolutely right. Sometimes you have to click the re-render button. But apparently there's not too many pixels in it that's. So we already know that works. The spinner alert. I know this one works.
A problem with the fifth small spinner down there. If you look at the number 5 on the if it were a clock. Back to the small.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, look at that.
yeah.
Look at that. Good catch. Good catch. So we gotta go and find. Oh. It was this one down here, wasn't it?
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Oh, it's all the way at the end. Probably the very last one. Oh, it doesn't have it. There's spinner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is the same as 1. So we need to go fix that.
These are the things that we did, not bash them, but there's a lot of props in here, but there's just little things like this that you just don't notice a lot. This is what we were tediously going through.
Yeah, this is and it's not because they did a terrible job. It's because this is so ridiculously tedious. Is that supposed to be like that? No, it's not supposed to be like that. So,
Well, and for a lot of the coral makers that have props made and stuff like that, you didn't have these advancements in X-Lights whenever some of these older props were made. So you couldn't select nodes in order and stuff like that. So you were kind of stuck to how the prop was just made. So whoever originally made the model, if they decided to leapfrog, that's where your render was stuck at, was that leapfrog single line like that. So with enhancements became time, hey, it's time to rework some of these models and things like that. And that's where a lot of this came from.
yep. So, so I'd say that one's pretty solid for the small arms. We know the big arms are good. We know the snowflake arms are good. Those all look pretty good. It's one of my favorite things to do on the spinner arms. Yep, I think that's a pass. So let's see. What other submodels do you see, guys? What else do you guys see in the? I'm sorry, I haven't followed along with chat because there's been a lot of good conversation just out loud here. Let's see. Yes, I see DK joined us. He said, you need to test dummy. Ours is still standing. Yeah, mine's still standing too, but it's actually got blown around a little bit. I lost a matrix panel today, but I have to go back out and put that up. Yes, this is a glorious snowflake.
Wonder if you could make hearts out of where it goes around the spinners. Not sure I would, but wonder if you could.
So you're saying add, we'll call it heart 1 because do them individually. So you're saying something like this would be a start point here and come up like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it might not work out.
There's also some wacky wiring in the harness in those little the jumps between that perimeter and that spinner, which we had to get redone. I don't know if it made it through into the plans. I think 89, 90, 91, and 92 had to get redone.
Well, see, that's the thing. Once if the wiring diagram is ever changed on this, that renders all of these submodels ineffective.
We did reach out to GE back in November, but never heard anything.
Yeah, so rewiring a model is a big deal. That's one of the things that we're not going to do. We're only going to take what's already there and available and apply it. So,
yeah, that makes plenty of sense.
Because that's not a bad idea there, Justin. Pretty nifty. Okay. Back over here.
I think I see a praying mantis in there also.
Oh, Jeff, get out of here. Praying mantis. You're doing that one.
And then just think you can have the male one with the head cut off.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I need to find a way to use this thing for Halloween. I've got the big Costco 3-meter spider, and I really want to hang it dead over the center of it.
Treat it as a matrix and just put a pumpkin face on
So
it.
that does work. That's a heart.
That's actually a very cool idea, man.
That looks really good. That looks really good. I mean, how many times in the song does it say I love you, or Christmas is the time for love, or whatever? I mean, every song has, Oh, Jeff, you and I mean, could this be a singing face of some sort? Oh, yes. That definitely could be a singing face. The singing praying mantis, Jeff. There you go. She's got,
the eyes right there.
I'll leave when I'm done with this. I'll give this to you, and you can take it from there.
And then you can use these for like their arms, like coming up.
Oh yeah, you just got it. Just build them right up, and he's got some big legs down here.
Well, I don't think you can do a leg here and a leg here.
You could do like multiple legs because they have multiple legs, right?
Looks like a singing frog.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
You could definitely do a singing frog. I'm not going to do a singing frog.
Alien.
The crazy frog sequence that everyone will hate.
So whenever I create, so we came up with a decent submodel, right? So what I would do is I would duplicate here. I would copy this because it copies the name, and then I come up here and then I add. This says add right here, add row, and then I go to the next one, and I come over here and I start exactly the same exact place, which is here's the straight row, here's the row down below it, here's the straight row, here's the row down below it, get in the middle, and bam. And this is the hard part about doing these models. Oh, it didn't come out just right, did it? So, and now I have this on here so I can follow it back, and I can say, well, it comes in under here. This isn't it. I'm going to have to start over and do this one, this one, this one. This is what makes it difficult to do these. Which I do want to just click and drag and grab them all and then be done with it, but I know that in the end it's not going to travel the same way.
I know, like, the way Scott made this is if you actually click on the node, but you got to be precise, it'll highlight it. Was there any thought about if you click near the node, it'll highlight whatever is closest to
expanding the clickable zone? Is that
yeah,
that?
Yeah.
I
wouldn't
again.
imagine it'd be
So again, that comes down to how much can he do? How much can you do with it? And I don't know what kind of programming that would take. I mean, is it possible? I don't know. Probably. I know that there's certain things in the.
How much of a donation does Scott need?
Oh well, I mean.
Let's talk, Scott.
Well, I don't know the answer to that either. So.
GoFundMe for Clyde's sanity.
Well, this is my. I mean, now I'm doing this like on Zoom and YouTube, and there's a bunch of people watching right now, right? And the whole idea here is that we're taking up time. We have something to do. It's the week before New Year's, and what's everybody doing? Their shows are all up. Everything's running. They're gonna maybe some people are already like, okay, Christmas is over, take it down, because they're Grinches and stuff. But at the same time, there's always something that somebody's just like Dale said whenever he came in, like this is like extremely helpful because this is not something that they got into yet. So there's always people that haven't gotten into this yet that just don't know. So let's see, how did I figure out that the last time? I went off this corner, 1, 2, 3, 4. So not the top one here, but 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's on the second row. That would be it. And like I said, I mean, it's all about repeating the exact same thing over and over again. The consistency that you build into this is like ridiculously necessary. If you get bored with doing this, like Jeff's hands probably like creaking because he hurts just because he's watching it. Yeah. Jeff did a significant number of models, a huge number of models. And so is Scott, to his credit. Scott and there was a whole crew of people, Brian McVeigh, and we've had a ton of people do models that we needed done. And
this would have come in handy back in the day.
Yeah, 3 years ago, absolutely.
Yes.
And the models were maybe 2,000 pixels each, right?
Some were really large. I think the biggest was right around 2,000, but a lot of them were 800, 1,200, 900.
Did I skip? I skipped. Man, it's 10 o'clock. How many people are still in here?
24.
Are you kidding me? I guess people want to learn submodeling.
Only 9 o'clock.
Well, it is. It's 10 o'clock here on the East Coast.
East Side.
Copy. And then after you get used to doing it, you find you pinpoint your start points a little easier the more you do it.
And your carpal tunnel. Exactly where it hurts.
Oh, I can tell you, my left hand is like, are you done yet? Are you done yet? Are you done yet? I have, actually, you know what helps is I got one of these, if you see the camera here, I've got one of these handshake mouses. It goes on its side like this. So that's absolutely helped tremendously to reduce the pain in my hand whenever I'm using a mouse. Ah. Yeah, but your hand does get tired after doing this for a little while. especially whenever the submodels have, 50 pixels that you have to click and drag to capture. Oh, I missed it. No, I went the wrong way. I got the right one, but went the wrong way. No, didn't grab the right one. This is the right one.
You doing the Gigantor next?
Next? No. This is maybe we'll do it next week. I was thinking about, what do you guys want to learn for next week? Because I was thinking of doing like a greatest hits of X-Lights 2021, 22.
Why don't you teach us about the effect assistant that I close every time the stupid thing pops up?
The effect assistant? Well, I can tell you about it. The effect assist is only used for 3 effects. It's used for the morph effect, in very important use for the morph effect, which is like my favorite effect ever, thanks to Gil. The next effect that Gil created was the picture effect. It's used for scaling and rescaling pictures that you might import into X-Lights. Gil wanted to build it into something that was kind of like Piskel, which now no longer exists. Jeff, did you know that?
Yes. Well, it exists, but you can't save it.
You're right.
You can still use it, but you can't go in and modify it afterwards.
Yep. So one.
Not happy about that.
Yep. None of us are happy about that one because I lost a lot of stuff that I did on Piskel.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I stopped using it. By the way, like whenever I really used it was about 4 years ago. But then I realized, it's easier for me to do things, and I got to take a break. So.
She still uses it.
So copy that, and we'll call heart number 7. All hearts all. And then we'll come back to number 2, click on this one, delete. Click on number 3, delete. Click on this one, delete. Click on this one, delete. And the last one, delete. Oop, I added. Oops, bad Clyde. Try it again. Delete. Can we delete this one? Delete. No, let's go from the bottom. Delete. And then we got them all. So that duplicate or that copy, beautiful for this. And then you can have one with all of them in it, or you can have one individually where the render styles. I like the render styles whenever they're better individual. So maybe that's our spinner alert. Maybe that's what we'll use for it. That will stand out a little bit more. Add selections to existing groups, spinner alert. Okay. We will take the radiations out of there because I just don't like them now after seeing them. And we go over here, delete this, go all the way to the top. And we do spinner alert on. There we go. Oh, look at all the red hearts. Aren't they pretty? And if you put an effect on it, single strand, per model default, and we make it nice and big. There we go. Justin, I should call these the Justin submodels. So
Please don't.
let's try mapping a sequence. Why don't we? Musical sequence, music, S for CM Felt, Winter Wonderland, 20 frames per second, quick start. YouTube, I'm going to mute the audio from my computer so you won't hear anything over there except through my microphone because I don't want to get a copyright strike. Let's go in import effects from my Pro layout, and we go to Winter Wonderland Pro, and because everything's matches, we'll just hit the auto map button and click OK. Now we need to do something in the display elements screen. I already have it set up so that it's in the proper order. Make master. And I never render until I save it. Now I'll render. This is only 4,500 pixels. And it's one prop, but it's a bunch of submodels. And if you're in the Zoom room, I'm going to share with sound because it doesn't matter to you guys. New share with sound. Bam. All right. Are we ready? Let's get rid of the model preview and make this the house preview. Reset. Everybody see it good? Hold on a second. Let me turn the audio up. Can you hear it now? Okay. Yeah, I just have to take my headphones off because it's way too loud. All right, I think that's enough. All right, so questions, comments. What do you think? Go ahead, open up your microphone. I can share audio back on YouTube now. YouTube's.
Round of applause from down under. That's glorious. Thank you.
I think that. Oh, well, it's far better. I mean, so here's the thing. And me just sitting here watching this, like I would, if I knew this was in my show, I would have to sequence a certain way to make it, to really bring it out. Like this is your centerpiece. Like anybody who just auto maps to this, no offense, anybody who just auto maps to this, they're doing it because they're in a hurry. The people who really are going to take this to the next level are going to do the auto map, and then they're going to sit there and they're going to say, okay, I need to find the rest of the effects that really pull this out, that really make this like stand out as the centerpiece of my show. You know what I mean? So with that being said, like I didn't, obviously, like I just mapped this in. I had no idea what it was going to look like. So what other things should be added to this? What do you think? Comments?
Should be one more submodel with the hearts and the wieners and call it I Love Wieners.
Oh, I bet you would love that, wouldn't you? You want the hearts and wieners together.
Massive pain in the ass, and I'm happy to sit down and do the clicking. Would be a full group of circles all the way to the outside for a full outline from the center outwards.
Are you talking about what? That's what we would similar call a ring group. The ring number one, which would be the center ring, and then work your way out. Whatever's on that ring is what's highlighted.
I believe there's a multitude of ring groups, but I didn't find one that had.
There is on the center.
To the outside.
There is in the center. So these inner rings here are already done, which that was significant work. So, which I know that, and I think they were rather meticulous about it as well. Because if you look at their start point, it's always down in the bottom, and I don't know which way they went. I go clockwise, and everything to me starts at the top center. So, but it's the consistency that you create when you're doing it. You always do the same thing every single time. So they do have the ring group here, but it only goes out to that specific point there.
Miss Creative just had an idea.
Uh-oh. Well, yeah. Put her on the line.
No, she already went back.
Whatever.
These, they look like presents.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's I have them as rings.
You have them as rings.
Or pineapples.
Or pineapples.
These are upside down pineapples.
That is true. That does look like a present.
With the bow, I don't know.
Seems like they only work when they're paired to something else.
They're a second set of arms to me. That's the way I see those.
Yeah, it definitely helps give you the rotational look.
Mm-hmm. But
not blowing smoke, but honestly, that twinkly lights one has some amazing effects on your mega tree, which look really good on this. And to be able to utilize it and map it out properly will be so exciting.
what, the twinkly lights sequence from
Twinkly lights is one of our most popular sequences because it absolutely gets everybody dancing.
oh, the SpongeBob one you're talking about, right?
Bob's Burgers, yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
We also had a matching film clip on the big screen playing simultaneously.
Yeah, that was actually really popular. Well, they came out with the new video of the movie this year, didn't they?
Yeah, and there's a couple of like a tartan effect that you put over the mega tree, and it just looks glorious on this beast.
Well, that's what I said too. Like, if you're going to map anything to this, the first thing that you want to probably map to it is the mega tree, because it is a centerpiece. I mean, you got 4,500 pixels. What else in your show has 4,500 pixels? That's your centerpiece. So
we've generally gone mega tree or matrix, or sometimes an MOAW.
Mm-hmm.
So to piggyback on your point earlier, when we had the Gigantor flake and we were trying to map just the regular snowflakes over to it, it looked decent. But again, it's so large and so many pixels that
Good night, Justin.
It was still missing stuff. But yeah, these kind of things need additional work to kind of make a pop. But
well, that's the thing. So, like, whenever like Jeff came up with something, if Nick has added to what Jeff already did, then I guarantee you and Nick's rather forthright and understanding of how things look. He knows how to put things up, and he also understands the programming behind it. So for Nick to be able to add on to what Jeff already did, and as long as he followed the basic rules, like slow is steady, steady is fast, just do the same thing for every submodel, take a path and follow the path, then the effects will flow on them. And to be honest, I would say that a number of the newer models that have come out, people are really picking that tip up. They're realizing that they really have to pay attention to that. So I think increasingly over the past 2 years since Jeff started doing the certified side of the models, then things have really, for the entire community, just kind of. And it's not just because of what we did, but it's because people are waking up to it or opening their eyes or seeing it. So I think as we all just grow, it just becomes easier and everybody understands it more. So Dale asked a good question earlier, probably like an hour ago. So Dale asked, he says, doesn't have a microphone. I've been away for a few years due to medical reasons, and I'm wondering if there are Zoom meetings on similar models than this. Not specifically that there are or there aren't. It's usually the topic arises, but to sit and do one model, it's especially on something like this. This is really, really over the top. This is a huge model. So that if you take this and I mean just. I don't want to import. I want to download. If you put like the PPD wreath in here compared to this.
you gotta click the plus sign.
Oh. So I'll use the original because that's what I have. But you put these two models together and you compare the two. You've got 600 nodes versus this one, which is 4,500. So to sit here and do this and go into the submodels and figure out the submodels for all of these, this is a whole different level. This is way easier. I could see the path here that I had to take. Like this would have been so much easier in today, trying to do this today than it would have been back in the day. But I literally had I'll never forget it. I had like 7 or 8 copies of this printed out, and I drew highlighter marks over the pixel count, and then I physically had to come in here and type them out because none of this existed whenever I started doing that. So whenever you compare these two side by side, you can do so much with this, but you can do so much with this. It all depends on what your plans are to do with this. So but specifically doing one-on-one models, it's after a while you just have to start picking up the tool and start using it. So, no, but good question. Good question. Earl said this feels like the Rorschach test. Oh, you're welcome, Dale. Anybody else got anything else? Any other questions? I mean, is there anything else you see in here that I should put in here that stands out as something that definitely should be highlighted? I mean, we got a heart out of it, Justin. Thanks to Justin. He's already left for the evening, I think.
I'm definitely going to come at you for that pure imagination sequence in the new year.
Good, because we need to talk about that. We need to get that on the books first, not like get you booked for it first, because it's all.
I'm going to quit going live on Facebook because I think Facebook's probably sick of us talking about butt plugs. So good night, Facebook. Like I
Feels
said
like
before,
an isolated
like,
conversation.
follow, and share so you can see when upcoming drawings and webinars are happening.
And the same over here to YouTube. We've been live on YouTube for 1 hour and 55 minutes. So huge thank you to everybody that stayed with us through the whole thing. Hope you picked up a lot of interesting information, the side babble. And I'm sorry you didn't get to hear the sequence, but the model will be up on we'll put this up on the PPD certified models page. I'll go ahead and flash that screen over here. Go to pixelprodisplays.com/PPD certified models. And this will bring that up. We'll have it added to the Gilbert Engineering USA page, listed here as soon as it pops up. But there'll be an addition. We have a ton of these models. We'll just add it to the bottom probably, won't you, Jeffy?
Yeah, export it and I'll upload it there.
So yep, we'll get her in there. And the other thing too, I will say this. I only put the PPD groups in here, and the reason I did that was because the other ones there was a lot of great groups that were created, and if you already have this model in your show, what XLights does now is XLights will take this model and merge the submodels with your model, and it will add the groups that we've added. So it won't delete anything in your model, but if something new's in this one that's not in yours, it will merge the two together. So this helps you immensely by not having to worry if that you're going to delete something or you're going to lose something. It's just going to add on to what you already have. And that was an upgrade and an update we had how many months ago? About 5 or 6 or 6 months ago. That Keith and then Scott. I think Scott went in and did some work on it too. So a huge thank you to them guys for doing that. So YouTube, we're going to let you go here. I'm sorry there were no questions there. Hello to everybody that did jump in there, and we'll catch you soon. If you hit if you like the video, hit the like button. If you appreciate the things we do here at Pixel Pro Displays, consider joining the PPD Sequence Club and getting an awesome sequence each month from us. Thanks for joining us on YouTube, and unfortunately Facebook's already gone. So we'll catch you later. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.